Well, good afternoon, Maverick traders. It's Joe with you. Let's do a currency recap for the 16th of January. It's Thursday. Let's get into it. I'm going to go out and look for some meaningful news of the day. Let's take a look at the charts, and I've got a couple trades that we share. Let's share them as a community.
Disclaimer. This video was created for professional Forex and crypto traders. Maverick Currencies is a proprietary trading firm that employs professional traders around the world. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits they generate. All trades and analysis in this video are for professional traders only. If you are interested in becoming a professional Forex and currency trader for Maverick, click the apply button in the video description. Let's break down what happened today.
Let's get into the market analysis. And as you guys can see, we didn't have too much going on, but a couple of things. So right into the news of the day. Oil moves lower as the CAD also moves lower. Oil had a pretty good surge to the upside yesterday, I think. It's a little bit of profit taking. Also, Yemen's militia said that they're going to halt attacking ships in the Red Sea. I think that might have sparked that as well. Who knows? What do you know? But Bank of Japan, the big move today was the yen. We'll get there in a second. But they came out and said they're likely to raise rates next week. And the yen just kind of took off. I know that we have an inauguration on Monday. Also, the markets will be closed on Monday for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I'll remind you of that again here. But the Forex markets will be trading still. So I'm wondering if that had something to do with the yen's move as well. Here it is. You can see just shy of 1%. It was up a little higher than that, actually. Pretty good move to the upside. But the U.S. dollar completely flat. No changes where it settled. It was a little higher, a little lower than that, but everything is flat. Franc, euro, pound, all flat. CAD dropped a little bit. I think it's just because it's kind of pegged to oil there. We'll take a look at a chart. It's actually one of my pairings for today. And then Aussie and the Kiwi lower again as well. Overall, the markets were flat. The S&P just down about 0.25%. World index up slightly. Crypto, a good move to the upside. Mainly Litecoin drove that up. Gold flat, and then there's that drop in oil, 3.3%. Pretty good move to the downside. Take a look at the cryptos. Everything's flat but that Litecoin. Now, they're still showing some pretty good strength. In fact, I got them all +2, +3 velocity-wise, and so they're just kind of re-emerging. You know, crypto does. It bounces that around. So where does that put us for the overall markets? Now, Uncle did this yesterday. All that it was just change one of the colors there on the 50 MA. Because we had the push-pull. And what I refer to that is, let's just jump straight into it. By the way, I'm a -1. I just still see that we're in this trend. I'll draw it here. But we're still adhering to this move. We do have that crossover. We're setting lows. I talked about this in my last class. I'm not sure if it was with you guys, but I'll bring it up again. That is a bullish flag pattern if you were to zoom that out on the longer term. However, it is a downtrend within the range of the lines that I drew. So my expectations for the shorter term, I think we kind of slide a little bit lower. Maybe get to one of these levels. We'll see. Like I say, we got a new president being sworn in on Monday. The markets will be closed on Monday as well. Maybe we just consolidate and then move higher from that. So I'm not sure we're going to go, but I am definitely sitting at this glass half empty. I like the overall pattern. It is to the bear side. So that's my breakdown of the equities. Now let's take a look at some of the news events and some of the things that we've seen. The markets were a little bit weaker due to some of the worries of not getting rate cuts. And so when we saw the CPI number come out, we saw, hey, this is the first sign of weakness that can justify, cutting some rates. We also are seeing some stability in some of these other numbers, though. Let's take a look at the retail sales, showing a little bit of a slowdown there, both in the month over the month and the core. So we're starting to slow our spending. And we also have a small uptick in unemployment claims. So these numbers kind of agree that, hey, okay, we're starting to see the economy slow down. Does the Fed need to start cutting to get ahead of it? So we'll see if that spills into the overall markets. They tend to still be in a little bit of kind of a sell-off mode. We'll see if that changes. So let's just jump over into the currency analysis and take a look at what's out there and if we can take advantage of it. First, let's break things down. I wanted to start first here, since it's up, is with oil. This is the move that we saw today. And as you guys can see, it was a pretty good drop little bit of a gap down, and then it's just been kind of floating a little bit lower. Now it's pinned itself to support. So velocity wise, yeah, it looks like it's getting a little bit weak, but it's just an aggressive reaction, I believe, to maybe the surge to the upside, maybe some news. But or a little bit of profit taking. So I wouldn't be surprised if this kind of stabilizes itself, and we see oil just kind of go boring for a minute. Anyways, I thought I'd just show it to you since it was on my mind. So let's get going into our breakdown of our velocity score. We're starting with the yen. And once again, Bank of Japan saying, hey, we're probably going to most likely raise rates next week. It shot up, regardless of what it is. What caused it? Here it is. And it's a +3. Pretty easy. I like the move up here on the RSI. Flip the SAR, a good little hitch, and this trend line just shoots up higher. And the price action breaking up and moving higher. So I do like the yen here. It's one that I'm actually going to pair in a trade of ours. When I get there. So let's take a look at the US dollar. US dollar is completely flat. It's zero. It's not going anywhere. It's just consolidating. Now, folks, I truly think that this happens again tomorrow outside of some sort of weird news. I just don't see us doing too much going into this holiday weekend with the inauguration on Monday as well. So dollar's pretty much flat. I'm just going to set that aside for now. Now, on a daily, it still looks really good, and it is one of the stronger currencies. Franc, also consolidating, just moving sideways here. This one's got this nice range-bound pattern. For you guys that, if you're trading options on this thing, you can keep within a range. Sideways would be a very good play on this. But it's not doing much, just kind of meandering. Let's jump to the euro. Now, the euro is also a 0. I decided to give it a 0. You could make the argument of a -1. You know, the SAR did flip. But the moving average and the consolidation of this RSI, and it's also kind of sloping up, I just kept it as a 0. The pound, on the other hand, I had no problem giving it a -1. I like this move to the downside. It was mostly because of the moving average. Flip on the SARs, still have that little flip up in the RSI, but it's still below 50 and it's more sideways. But I do like this low base. So if I can see this consolidate and maybe roll over, then I'd like to get a little bit more bearish on it. So let's move to the CAD. The CAD was difficult because you don't really want to punish it. I did give it a -2. I kind of had, I had to, obviously. It fell out of bed here. The SARS flipped and it dropped, and this move on the RSI. Now, the moving average, I just kind of gave it a 0 because it's got this little frowny face going on, but we'll see how far this drop goes. I imagine it finds some consolidation right where it's at. It was a big move, but it might have already just played itself out. Moving on to the Aussie. The Aussie I have is a -1, and I still think they're kind of in sell mode. I'm going to put the Kiwi in this as well. It's kind of a bigger move if you take in the last few days up, and now it looks like it's might want to try to roll back down. If it breaks this support level here, get my pin. If it can break this support level with any sort of momentum, I think it will probably have no real problem getting back down to this area. So SAR flipped. This is kind of a 0 here, but this is a good kind of a sloping RSI that's actually below the 50. So it was easy for me to give it just a -1. I'm going to be nice with this, but if it can break, and this is the area I'm looking at, then I can easily see this go to a -2 and probably something I want to trade. Let's take a look at the Kiwi, and it's the exact same thing, just a little further along. So I gave it a -1 as well. But you can see this one has already kind of broken that support level here. It's kind of approaching these levels that I expect the Aussie to do, and it's, respectively. Flipping the SAR, moving average isn't giving as much, but I do like this sloping RSI. So if we can continue to see the yen go strong, maybe that move to safety, the dollar sustain itself and kind of base here and then move higher, I imagine we'll leak out of these riskier currencies or risk-on currencies. I think it'll continue to just kind of bleed. Anyways, we'll see. All right, so let's jump to our cryptos. And as you can see, these were easy. I'll start here with Bitcoin. Bitcoin just kind of just shut up, right? It's got a base right there, so I'll just call that a 0. But here's 1, here's 2, the moving average, the SAR. It looks good. Nice base. It's pushing higher. Looks like the SAR flipped a little bit, but this is going to be my target back up in this range. So it's looking good. Definitely a +2. Here's Bitcoin Cash, +2 as well. It's already above a resistance level. I like to see this. SAR flip. This is kind of meandering, so I gave it a 2 as well. This could be its next target. Ethereum was on the weaker side. I only gave it a +1. It's because it kind of hit this little resistance area where it closed yesterday and just kind of drifted lower today. So it's not bearish, it's just more of a pullback, but it did bring it back down a little bit. I'm still giving a +1 here on the SARS, and then kind of a negative there, but then kind of a positive here. So I just gave it a +1 overall. But then here's the strong one. This was a +3, pretty easy to do. I mean, I guess this is flipping over, but when you have the RSI up above that mark, it's not even a real read up here. It's just kind of like, okay, whatever. It's just having this little gangbuster moment. Let's see how far it goes. It looks like it's already trying to hiccup or a little pullback. So just be mindful of that if that's something you want to play moving forward. So this is what I got as far as our score goes. Everything kind of moving to the middle. The one that I did like to see was, the CAD had a pretty good drop there. And then this big bounce up in the yen. Those were two of the ones just to make the most note of, at least for today. I think I'm playing with both of them in some sort of a trade. So let's actually just jump right in there, folks, and take a look at the trades that I'm looking at. Now, the first one that I did like was the pound yen here, and I like it because it's already kind of floating below this support level. We know that the pound actually has been getting pretty weak, and then with this yen move, it just really kind of forced this area. Now, I expect the yen to maybe pull back a little bit, so don't be surprised if we get maybe a little bit of a corrective action before rolling over. I'm fine with that. Just be patient with it. I did like that. The other one that I was trying to compare with it, I was taking a look at the euro yen. Might as well show you this. The euro yen also looks promising. I could go either way, to tell you the truth. It just depends on which one triggers first. I like to zoom out a little bit further on these and have further targets. I like my targets a little bit lower, so if you want to go back in time and take a look at that. But just be patient with them. It's going to be more of the euro and the pound just doing nothing and the yen continuing to show strength. That's kind of what I'm gaming on. And then my other pairing that I did like is very similar. That is the Euro CAD. And what I liked about that, it's just the CAD got a little bit punished today. Euro, it's kind of sideways, but if the Euro can get a little bit stronger and that CAD, even if it flattens out, what I'm after is, let me zoom in, is just this ascending move that I'm seeing in it. I like when you hit higher highs here. Right? And then you've got this breakout above this resistance. So I see a transition going on in this stock, or excuse me, I shouldn't say stock, going in this currency, or I should say this chart. So this is the next level that I want to see break. In fact, let me just go ahead and erase all this stuff and get you back to it. Okay, so I need to see it get comfortably above that. And I do think that it might just kind of push up a little bit, maybe consolidate or pull back. But this area is going to be kind of the trigger, the 1.484. That's kind of what I'm looking for. But I love the RSI, so the momentum's there, and just the switch when it comes to the trend in the overall chart. So those are the two that are on my watch list, at least for the rest this week. We'll see what happens tomorrow. So in conclusion, folks, the U.S. markets will be closed on Monday. Remember that. It's Martin Luther King Day. The U.S. markets will be closed, the equities, I should say, not the currency markets. We could see the U.S. consolidate tomorrow going into the inauguration, although, I don't know, we could see the opposite, something go crazy, right? Some sort of an announcement, who knows? Not looking into too much outside of that. We are starting to see some pairs that are emerging, and we're starting to see some trades out there. So if you see them, feel free to take them. Just make sure you play relative strength and weakness, and always have that proper position sizing when you come across some of those opportunities. All right, folks, thanks for joining me, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye, everybody.